Hello everyone, my name is Erica, and in today's video we will be discussing every book I have ever rated 5 stars, which is kind of crazy. This is from 2021 to 2024 and we have 26 or 25 books on this list, which is kind of crazy to think about. Only 25 books I rated 5 stars. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. The first book I ever rated 5 stars was Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. I did a much deeper review on this book in my rereading 5 stars video, so if you want to hear it, go check that out. But basically, we are following Charlie Gordon as he goes through a procedure to artificially heighten his IQ. This book is labeled as science fiction, but I personally would say it's more just literary fiction. This book just absolutely changed my life whenever I read it for the first time, and this is the book that got me back into reading, so I will forever be grateful for it. I annotated it a little bit, not much, but oh my gosh, the themes, the lessons learned in this book, everything about it is just so amazing. I love it. Next up, we have a book that was so beyond popular on early book talk days, and that is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I hope I said that right. If not, I'm so sorry. Is it bad that now every time I think of this book title, A Little Life, I think I like this little life. This silly little life. It's really bad. I need to take a break from pop culture for a while. But I'm sure every OG book talk girly has heard about this book, and I, like others, was swayed into reading it by all the videos saying this will break your heart and devastate you and leave you sobbing on the floor, screaming, crying, and this did in fact break my heart beyond repair. I wasn't like screaming, sobbing, crying. It was more of like a, oh my gosh, this is so tragic, my heart aches so badly for all these characters, what even is this type of pain. So this is kind of like, I heard this one time, I don't know who said it, but this is the best book I will never recommend. If you do want to read it, if you think you can handle sad things, just make sure to check trigger warnings. But basically, this is a novel that follows 4 friends from college to adulthood, delving deep into the themes of trauma, friendship, love, and resilience. My only complaint is, why were the chapters like hundreds of pages long? Anyways, that's all I gotta say. Next up, we have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Oh my gosh. I still to this day think this is one of my top books of all time. I've been actually meaning to reread this book for months now, but for some reason I've never got along to it. I tried rereading it one time, so if you can see, there's tabs there, but then it stops whenever I stopped reading again. I think I stopped reading because I ran out of tabs. I don't know what that says about me, but the characters in this book, their development, the author's ability to build tension, the overall plot in general, oh my gosh. This is a brutal, grim, dark fantasy, highly inspired by the rape of Nanking, so that just kind of puts into perspective how dark this book can get at times. So if you're reading it, make sure to definitely check the trigger warnings if you know you can't handle heavy subject matter. But truly, the author handles it all so well, and the main character, Rin, she is such an anti-hero, and I just love her so much. Oh my gosh, she is one of my favorite characters of all time. Just talking about this book again makes me want to open it and read it right here, right now, one sitting. To sum up the plot of this book is impossible, so all I will say is that it's a book about drugs, shamanism, empires, and gods. So like I said before, just be careful when entering this book, but if you do believe you can handle that, read this and guarantee you will have a new favorite book. Really switching up the vibes here. Next, we have The House in the Cilan Sea. This book is an absolutely heartwarming read about a man named Linus who is a caseworker at the department in charge of magical youth who is suddenly assigned to investigate an island orphanage for children deemed especially dangerous. Throughout the story, we get to see a stony, rigid, rule follower type of man warm up and learn what love can truly be like with the found family and happiness and understanding. This book is just one of those where you have a smile on your face the whole entire time, and the author just does an amazing job of placing the reader into the story, making us feel all the love and warmth and connection between these two characters. It is so atmospheric and beautiful, and mwah mwah, chef's kiss. I love it. 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. Read it. Next, we have another extremely popular book talk book, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'm sure everyone on Book Talk knows this book at this point, but basically we are following the life of Evelyn Hugo from the 1950s when she moved to Hollywood to the 1980s when she suddenly decides to quit showbiz, and her 7 husbands along the way. This is a true tale of ambition, unexpected friendship, and forbidden love. This book, I do remember it taking me a while to get into, but once I was in, I was locked in for good. After the kind of 25% mark, I flew through the other 75% in one sitting. The writing, the character development, just simply following Evelyn Hugo through her life was such an amazing experience, and I would pay good money to be able to reread it for the first time, but unfortunately I cannot. And now we have Tuesdays with Morrie. This is one of those books where I saw in a video like, read this if you want to be sad. So obviously I did, and I started it maybe 9 p.m. 2.5 hours later, I was crying my eyes out in the darkness, reading my Kindle, finishing this book. So it's a classic and a memoir following the author Mitch Albom, who is reuniting with his college professor, Morrie Schwartz. I hope I'm saying that right, I'm probably not, but who is dying from ALS. During a series of Tuesday visits, they discuss all facets of life. I'm pretty sure on the cover it says, an old man, a young man, and life's greatest lesson, and oh my gosh. One quote from this book which I absolutely love and stuck with me is, once you learn how to die, you learn how to live. And what the heck? This is an absolute must-read for any reader of any age. It teaches you how to really appreciate life and to not let facing death be the thing that makes you start living. What a wonderful book. I really need to read this again. I need to read all these books again. Next up, we have the entire Red Rising series. I also went much deeper into this in my rereading 5 stars video, so like I said before, if you want to hear that, go check this out. So in this book, there's a caste system with reds being the lowest and golds being the highest, and we follow our main character Darrow as he learns that what he's been raised believing was actually a lie, and now he must infiltrate the gold in order to tear down the system from the inside. This is a sci-fi fantasy novel, which I do believe is pretty accessible to any readers looking to dip into sci-fi, since it's not too heavy. So some people say this book is like Hunger Games but set on Mars, so if you're interested in that, read it. I read this whole series twice now, annotated it fully, not this copy. I actually have 2 versions of each book because I love it so much. Just the characters in this book, the themes, simply how smart it was and how like brilliant. I don't know how to explain it, but like I feel like reading this, I was just like, wow, this is mind-blowing. I can't believe it. The other 2 books in the series, Golden Sun and Morning Star, are also 5 stars, and I think they are actually better than Red Rising, so that truly puts into perspective how good these books are. Oh my gosh. So obviously I can't say much about these because that'd be a spoiler, but really just please read Red Rising. Don't let the sci-fi genre discourage you, because I do feel like I said, it's very accessible for readers just beginning their sci-fi journey. Okay, sorry for yet another position change, but I sit on the floor when I film in that last position and I can't do it. My feet hurt so bad because I kneel on them. But now we have, are you ready for it? Yep. A Court of Mist and Fury, the 2nd book in the ACOTAR series. So once again, like Red Rising, I can't say much about this book without giving it away. Oh my gosh, I have a tab in here, one singular one. What does it say? Oh. Chapter 54, right before chapter 55. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. So, as most of y'all know, ACOTAR is the most popular fantasy romance series on TikTok by far. At least on my For You page, it definitely is. The first book follows a girl named Feyre who accidentally kills a fairy and now has to serve out prison time in the fairy court. I'm pretty sure the first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I actually didn't know that until after I finished reading it and heard it online somewhere. But, you know, I can see the resemblance. But for this book, so many people said this one was their favorite that I was so hesitant going into it. I was like, no, it's just gonna let me down. It's gonna let me down. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna like it. But apparently I am in fact just like every other basic book girl on Book Talk, and I ate this book up. Oh my gosh. I didn't really like the third book in the series, and I probably won't be continuing it, but you know, this one was super good, so if you want to read the Akatar series, do it just to get to this one. Next up, we have The Sword of Kaigen. Oh my gosh, this is a self-published book, and it is so incredible. Oh my gosh, I believe it's still on Kindle Unlimited, so absolutely, before you even hear my review, go read it right now. You won't regret it at all. It was so good, it physically pained me to read. This book tore my heart out and then stabbed it with a knife and put it back in. These tab sections, oh my god. Guys, I don't even think I can open it without... This is the only book that has made me sob full on tears. I sent so many videos to my friends like, what the heck? What has a book just done to me? So in this book, we follow a young teen boy whose purpose is to learn his family's technique and defend his homeland. But when an outsider arrives and pulls back the curtains on Kaigen's supposed peace, he realizes he might not have as much time to become the fighter he wants as he originally thought. And worse, he realizes that the empire he was born to defend might have been built on lies. Oh my gosh, I just saw this. The Poppy Wars darkness meets the Last Airbender's elemental magic. No wonder I love this book so much. Oh my gosh. So next up, we have The Dead Poets Society, also known as, you know, the Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift. This book is about how experiences, love, passion, youth are all things that make life beautiful. All I have to say for this book is, take me to the lakes where all the poets go to die. Now we have If We Were Villains. Oh my gosh, this book, changed my life whenever I read it. Like, what the heck was even that? So this is a story following a tight-knit group of 7 Shakespearean thespians. However, as time goes on, something dark and sinister begins to corrupt their friendship, eventually leading to a murder. So we begin this book 10 years in the future as we are following a detective asking Olive, who is the main character in the story aspect, who was just released from prison, questions about the events that happened that night. This book just had me hooked the entire time. The plot, the characters, the sheer absurdity of it all, just like, oh my gosh, it burrowed its way into my heart and never left. And the vibes, the ending, oh my gosh, I could not get over that for weeks and weeks, and frankly I still don't think I am. So everything in this book had me salivating. I was glued to the pages. I could not leave. I originally started it on my phone because I wasn't sure if I would like it, but then I had to buy it on Amazon so quickly. I got express delivering. I paid that $2.99 to get it within a couple of hours, and it was worth every bit, because then for the rest of the day I just sat in my bed and read that book and had the time of my life. Next up, we are kind of on a theme of like dark academia here. Academia, which one is it? But we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So this book follows Victor and Eli, two like unhinged, arrogant, competitive college friends turned enemies after a dangerous experiment leaves them both with superpowers. Oh my gosh, isn't that plot so unique? Ugh, it is so good. And after this event, they soon become hellbent on killing each other, and that's basically what they do throughout the whole book, and it is amazing. The summary sounds a little like dorky, but truly, this book is so good. I mean, V.E. Schwab cannot write anything I don't like. It's actually impossible. Just the writing, the characters, I loved every aspect of it. And throughout this book, we never truly know who's the villain or who's the hero, as they're both very morally gray, kind of wrong characters. We understand both of their reasons for why they want to kill the other, but neither of them are more right or wrong than the other, and that just makes this book so special. I am pretty sure this book is a part of a series. However, I personally thought it ended pretty well, and I didn't have any desire to pick up the next one, even though it was 5 stars. I just didn't really see how it could like continue from where it left off, but you know, maybe I'll read it someday. It's called Vengeful. Now we have one of very few romance books in this video. This is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and so basically in this book we are following Jack, who is like a Hollywood heartthrob, and Hannah, who is an elite bodyguard tasked to protect Jack. Jack doesn't want to let his mom know that he needs protection, so in order to hide that, they fake date, and fake dating is one of my favorite tropes of all time. It is just so incredible, so obviously I ate this up. I don't know, this book, it was like a breath of fresh air. Reading their dialogue was so cute, and like the writing in this book was so easy to digest. It was just such a fun time, and I loved it. It's just everything you want from a romance book. It's short, sweet, super cute. It's not spicy at all, so very good. Is it YA? I think it's YA. I really need to read the other book that's out by her now. What is it? Like about the face blindness thing. But yeah, that's The Bodyguard. Now we have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And truly, this book was like not what I was expecting at all. I didn't expect it to enforce such a theme. So this story explores what it means to be family, the good and the bad, as well as what it means to have fame and fortune. I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't remember much of the plot of this book other than how I felt while reading it. It was just like the vibes were perfect at the time. I was reading it during summer. I felt so like attached to all the characters, and it was just really a page turner. I wanted to keep finding out what was happening and how it would end. Taylor Jenkins Reid is just such a phenomenal writer, and over the 2.5 books I read by her, I have loved every second of them and rated 2 out of 2.5 5 stars. So clearly I love her books and will read everything she writes. Clearly that's not true. If you're wondering what the half book was, it's Daisy Jones and the Six. For some reason I just never finished it. Now we have Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. This book follows 2 Mexican-American teenagers exploring facets of their own identity when grappling cultural norms, societal conformity, and hidden family secrets in the midst of the AIDS epidemic. This book is a 5-star simply because I love these characters so much and their connection, and I couldn't stop smiling, and truly just the character development and all their interactions it was just the greatest thing. This is a coming of age book, and it was just done so well. Watching the characters come to terms with who they are, who they want to be, and watching them experience that all through this book was such an incredible journey, and I need to reread this, like I've said with kind of like every book in this video, but this one for sure. So next up we have Project Hail Mary. Oh my gosh. I still don't have a physical copy of this book somehow. I don't know. It's been like 6 months, and one of my favorite books of all time. So, you know. So this is a story about a man who wakes up in space with no idea of who he is or what he's meant to be doing. He only has kind of the vague instinct that what he's meant to be doing is in order to save the Earth from destruction. And this book is sci-fi, and I did have a couple of issues understanding the science talk that was going on in some scenes. However, if you just pretend to understand and move on, it's great. 5 stars, 10 out of 10. I read this one on audiobook, and oh my gosh, I truly think that is the way to go for this book, because yeah, actually I can't say anything about it because that would be a spoiler. I mean, he wakes up with no memories. Oh my gosh, read this book. Read it. So now we have the Cradle series, specifically books 2, 3, and 7. So this series, I also do not own any of these books. We kind of have a theme going on here. This book series has a total of, I think, 12 books out currently, and I thought it was over, but I'm actually pretty sure the author is releasing more, which is crazy. I have only read 10 of the books only. But by the time I got to book 11, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I need to read something else. Because I'm one of those people that has to read a series in one go, or else I will never get back to the book. So, you know, 12 books, I think 1 week. Yeah. So basically this book is following our main character, Weishi Linden, who was born an unsouled, meaning he has no powers, unlike basically everyone else. However, he is faced with a looming fate that he must defy his family's rules to avoid. This book series, in the best way possible, it felt like candy. Like, I was eating these books up. I would read one, immediately go to the next one. I was never tired of it until book 11. They were just so quick and easy and entertaining, and honestly, like the best book series I've read in a while. You're gonna kill me for this, but I really need to reread them. Oh, it was page turning every second of the way. It combined all of my favorite tropes, like overpowered main character. That's kind of a spoiler, but not really, like you expect it. There's training arcs, there's competitions, everything. I love me a good overpowered main character who wins everything and is super great and has magic and is awesome and super duper cool. Oh, I never said this, but it's by Will Smith. Will Smith? No, it's not. Will Smith. No, it is by Will White. Following the Cradle series, we have, Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. This is the same author as The House in the Cerulean Sea. Under the Whispering Door is a contemporary fantasy about a ghost who refuses to cross over and the ferryman who he falls in love with. This is similar to The House in the Cerulean Sea, very much in vibes. It was just, once again, such a heartwarming, just like, beautiful read. The writing, phenomenal. Just the characters, you gotta love them. It just deals with like death and grief and kind of moving on into the afterlife, and it's kind of similar to Tuesdays with Morrie, if you remember that, and the way it teaches you to not let death be the thing that makes you start living. But I feel like this book could also be a very comforting read if you're someone who might be afraid of death or what like the afterlife could be like. Even though this is fantasy, it's not real. We'll never be able to know what happens after death, but this book does allow you to view death in a different light. It doesn't make you view it as the end, as something to be scared of. It's just very good. You should read this along with The House in the Cerulean Sea, because honestly, if you just need like a quick cleanser book between, I don't know, two heavy fantasy books, his books are the way to go. So now we have Bloodsong, very different from Under the Whispering Door. This book made me want to never read another book ever again, simply because nothing could ever compare. It combined, just like Cradle, absolutely everything I love in fantasy books. Overpowered main character, school to train your magical abilities, characters who are like morally gray and just amazing and kind of the anti-hero. So basically this book reads as a story as we start listening to our main character Valen kind of talk about all the titles he's won over the years as he's on his way to his execution. So basically throughout the book we learn how he gets all of his titles and why he is being executed. Like, what did he do? This is another one of those books that just talking about it makes me want to reread it again. Like, I really need to. The next book we have is Nevernight. So Nevernight is a story about 16-year-old Mia Corvere, who is on a mission for vengeance to right the wrong that has been done to her family in the only way she knows how: by killing everyone and everything. Ugh, what another good anti-hero. I feel like I also, just like Malibu Rising, don't remember all the events in this book. I just remember how I felt reading it. I was like, my jaw was dropped every chapter, like, oh my gosh. There were trials, rivalry, there was romance, very steamy romance, by the way. I was not expecting that. The ending had the biggest, plot twist. It for real made me never want to put it down, and I had to pick up the other two books right away. I think I read all three books in the span of like 3 days. The other two books I rated like a 4-star, which is still super good, but this first book was truly just like, oh my gosh, nothing could surpass it. So now we are moving on to our last book of the video. The most recent book I rated 5 stars is Heir of Fire, the 4th book in the, what's it called? Throne of Glass. How did I forget that? So this is the 4th book of the series, obviously, so I can't say anything or else that would be very obvious spoilers, but the first book I can explain a little bit. So basically we follow our main character Selena, who is the best assassin, and she is also on a mission of vengeance to avenge her past or whatever. Honestly, I cannot explain this book series. The first book was like a fever dream, and then the rest of them were just like phenomenal. So if you were like me and once told yourself you would never ever read the series because you were like afraid of how hyped up it was, or you just told yourself you're never gonna read it because it's too long, it's too much of a commitment, oh my gosh, just pick it up. I got this as a gift for Christmas, so I couldn't not read it, you know? So I picked it up and I never looked back. Ugh, this book series, it was so good. But yeah, those are all 25 books I rated 5 stars. And like I said in the beginning, only 25 books over like 4 years now is kind of crazy. It's still only kind of like 3 years because we just started 2024. But man, I don't know if I'm just like very picky or I just haven't read as much as I thought I have. Me talking about all these books felt like it took a really short amount of time. Is this video super short? I expected it to be like 24 hours long, so I tried to talk pretty fast and like sum up my thoughts quickly. Maybe that was a mistake, or maybe I was just kind of having a blast and this video is in fact 6 years long. That is all I have for you today. I hope you take this video as what it is, a demand to read all these books right now, right this second. Don't pick up any other book until you've finished all of them. But really, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to give a like and subscribe if you want to see more awesome, super duper cool content just like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye!